Chapter 1364. Their gazes met in the air, and there seemed to be raging waves washing over them silently. Yun Ruhan felt her legs tremble. It was as if a storm was coming. However, in the next moment, Mu Yan's body swayed, and then she softly fell down. Junior sister. Yun Ruhan's voice rang out. Two figures dashed over like lightning. But in the end, only a pair of hands caught Mu Yan. The moment Luo Yunxiao took a step forward, she retreated. He keeps a distance of 3 feet from Jun Mayan and doesn't come any closer. That was the distance between youngest martial uncle and his disciple. It was a gap that he would never be able to cross in his lifetime, let alone dream of crossing over. Di Mingju grabs Mayan with one hand and pulls her into his embrace. As he passes by Luo Yunxiao, Di Mingju stops and says in a low voice, "The tarsal bone netherworld is something that can only be found in the Shushan continent's netherworld domain. I don't care who you are, but if you hurt Mayan, I will consign you to eternal damnation and destroy your soul. Also, Jun Mayan is my woman. She used to be, is, and will always be my wife. Anyone who covets or has delusions about Mayan, he will never be soft-hearted." Luo Yunxiao slowly raises her head. Facing Di Mingju's ice-cold eyes, she doesn't dodge or avoid them. She enunciates each word as if she's making a vow. "I am her little martial uncle, and I will always be her little martial uncle." That was enough. As long as he could stay by her side, teach her, protect her as she grew up, and see her happiness, even if he was only her little martial uncle, that was enough. Di Mingju gives him a deep look. He turns around and takes a step, his figure disappearing several hundred meters away in a flash. The man's deep voice came from afar, "Remember what you said today." Mu Yan slept very deeply this time, as if it was because she had a familiar aura that made her feel at ease by her side, so the exhaustion of the past few days was completely released. In the end, she was awakened by the aroma of food. This feeling was all too familiar. Mu Yan slowly opens her eyes and sees the delicacies on the table not far from her, as well as the handsome man sitting at the table. He felt an indescribable sweetness and softness in his heart. After experiencing the misery of her previous life, she had thought that she would surely be alone in this life, and that Xiao Bao was the only person she could worry about. But she didn't expect that in this lifetime, she would actually get to know Di Mingju, and fall in love with him. Once again, he experienced the warmth and security of a family. Mayan gets up from the bed and uses her fastest speed to condense her water spiritual power to wash herself. Then he excitedly sits down at the table, taking a deep breath. "Di Mingju, your culinary skills are really getting better and better. Fifth senior brother's cooking is also very delicious, but compared to you, it's still far inferior." However, just as Mu Yan's hand reached for the chopsticks, it was caught by another pair of slender and powerful hands. Di Mingju coldly looks at her. "Who said these were made for you?" "Mu Yan, you didn't cook it for me. You deliberately placed it here to lure me and even woke me up." However, Mu Yan quickly realized that the man in front of him was still angry and wanted to settle the score with her. She coughed lightly, held his hand and shook it gently. "Are you still angry?" Chapter 1365. Listening to the man's words, Mayan knows that this time, it won't be easy to get through. Oh, since words won't do, then seduction will do. Mayan licks her lips, her peach blossom eyes glisten, and the corners of her mouth slowly hooks up into a bright and enchanting smile. It's rare for her to smile so charmingly, so lustfully. Di Mingju only feels that all the blood in his body is suddenly rushing towards one direction. He can't help but swallow. Mayan is startled, and reaches out to hook his lapel, pulling him slightly forward. She steps forward and sits on his lap. Their bodies are tightly pressed against each other. Through the thin material, she can feel the man's tight and hot skin, and a little bit of his rapid heartbeat. The smile on Mayan's face deepens, and her soft voice is like the strongest aphrodisiac. Dear Jun Shangdaran, whether or not I'm thinking of you, you can verify it yourself, and you'll know. Saying that, her soft, captivating red lips press against the man's slightly parted lips. The atmosphere in the room quickly becomes scorching and surging. After a long time, Di Mingju abruptly releases the woman in his arms, gasping for breath several times. Then he harshly pulls her into his arms as if punishing her. His hoarse voice is like a repressed storm. Yen, let's get married right away. Damn it, he really can't wait a moment longer. Mayan is also unable to calm her breathing. Her cheeks are flushed, and her eyes are like silk. But hearing Di Mingju's words, her reason is pulled back. Didn't we agree? No matter what decision she makes, she will definitely ask for Xiao Bao's opinion. If they really want to get married, then Xiao Bao must be by her side. Hearing Mayan mention Xiao Bao, Di Mingju also calms down, and frowns slightly. I've already let Han Yi spread out his manpower to search the entire Xiuzhen continent, but there's no news of Xiao Bao at all. He originally thought that finding Xiao Bao should be a very easy matter. He originally wanted Xiao Bao to come back later, so that he wouldn't disturb his and Mayan's two-person world. But now, with his influence, he still can't find him after searching for a month. This makes Di Mingju anxious. The worry in Mayan's eyes is also indistinct, but she sees that Di Mingju has the posture of turning the entire Xiuzhen continent upside down. She quickly told him about the situation where Little Phoenix had placed the Fire Phoenix doppelganger on Xiao Bao. I have a feeling that Xiao Bao is right beside me. Just a little bit more, and I'll be able to find him. Mu Yan raises her head and clasps Di Mingju's hand. She says in a soft but firm tone, Di Mingju, believe me. Don't make a big commotion, I'm afraid that Xiao Bao will be in danger. I will definitely find Xiao Bao as soon as possible. Mu Yan has a premonition. Xiao Bao's identity, his immortal body, just like her identity as a Shin musician, cannot be known by others. Otherwise, it was very likely that it would bring disaster to Xiao Bao. Di Mingju looks at her for a long time, and finally nods his head. Mu Yan sees that his expression has finally eased, and immediately shows an eager expression. Then now, you're not angry. Can I eat now? The aroma of the delicacies in front of her kept drifting into her nose, making her salivate unbearably. His stomach had been growling for a long time. Di Mingju looks at her appearance, and his eyes can't help but flash with a smile. Just as he was about to pick up the chopsticks and feed her, there was a knock on the door. Chapter 1366. The smile on Di Mingju's face instantly freezes. The gaze that could drown a person has once again turned into a death gaze burning with the flames of jealousy. Yan really knows a lot of people during my absence. The corner of Mu Yan's mouth twitches, and she inwardly curses Su Zi. Why did he have to come at this time? It's better to let her eat these delicacies first. Probably because he hasn't gotten a response for a long time, Su Zi tentatively pushes the door. Then with a creak, the door opens. The room is brightly lit, and Su Zi can see the scene in the room almost as soon as the door is opened. The first thing he sees is Di Mingju's ice blue, bone-chilling eyes. Su Zi's breathing suddenly stops, and his body instantly stiffens. In that instant, he felt as if his soul had trembled. If it said that when he saw Luo Yunxiao, he only felt ashamed of his inferiority for a moment. But looking at the man in front of him, there's an urge to surrender from the bottom of his heart. After a moment of suffocation, Su Zi suddenly comes back to his senses, and finally sees the man's face clearly. Then, he inhales a mouthful of cold air again. He originally thought that Luo Yunxiao's appearance was already unique and unparalleled, and that no one else could compare to her. But the man in front of him is not the slightest bit inferior to Luo Yunxiao. In fact, it might even surpass them. It's just that the man's pressure and imposing manner is too strong, and too high and mighty. So much so that people would be deeply awed at first glance, and forget to pay attention to his peerless appearance. Su Zi's line of sight moves somewhat dully, and finally falls on Mu Yan. He sees that although Mu Yan isn't sitting in Di Mingju's embrace, the two are very close, and their hands are still intertwined. Little sister. Su Zi says after a long while, he is. Mu Yan smiles faintly, and doesn't shy away. Yes, he is my fiancé, Mo Ju, and also one of the instructors of Yaguang branch. Although he was already mentally prepared, Su Zi still can't help but feel sad for a while. It's not that he still has improper thoughts towards Mu Yan. But he always feels that the little sister that he just had is about to be snatched away. Thinking of this, Su Zi suddenly sees Di Mingju as an eyesore. Even if he's handsome and decent, how could he be worthy of little Missy? Su Zi had been hovering between life and death since he was a child, facing the threat of death almost every day. If an ordinary person were to feel Di Mingju's coercion, they might have directly withered away. However, his face was clearly getting paler and paler, but he still revealed a clean smile and walked towards Mu Yan. Little sister, this is the snack I bought from the food shop. It's your favorite, money spit silk. With that, he shakes his hand and passes the food box to Mu Yan. The corner of Mu Yan's mouth twitches. She braces herself and says, "Thank you, Zi. But look, Mo Ju made a table full of dishes for me. I'm afraid I don't have the appetite to eat today." Su Zi didn't think about it at all. He just said with some regret, "Golden silk spit, must be eaten while it's hot. But it's okay, I'll line up for you next time." No need. Chapter 1367. Before he could finish, the temperature in the room suddenly dropped. Su Zi's face paled visibly. His fingers and lips turned purple. Mu Yan was shocked and quickly said, "Di Mingju, calm down, calm down. Zi has a heart disease and can't withstand your pressure." As she spoke, she took out a talisman and pressed it on Su Zi. The talisman burned and Su Zi's face finally improved. Mu Yan's face darkened. "Zi, if you keep messing around, I won't be polite anymore." Su Zi pursed his lips in displeasure. But facing Mu Yan's serious and angry expression, he still felt wronged. "I was wrong, sister." As he spoke, he looked up at Di Mingju and called unwillingly, "Brother-in-law." Cough, 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 cough. Brother-in-law, Mu Yan almost choked to death from Su Zi's address. Pfft. But Di Mingju was actually called brother-in-law. Why did he feel so happy? Su Zi took the food box and left obediently. Mu Yan suppressed the urge to laugh and looked at Di Mingju. Su Zi is an exchange student from Fengtian Academy to Starry School. Because his illness is very strange, I contacted him and wanted to try to cure his illness. Qi Huang's existence could not be known to anyone. Not even Di Mingju. This was what Qi Huang had repeatedly reminded her and even forced Mu Yan and Xiao Bao to swear. Although Mu Yan trusted Di Mingju, she could not go against Qi Huang's wishes. To me, Su Zi is just a little brother. Mu Yan approached the man who still had a cold expression and showed a flattering smile. "My lord, you don't have to be jealous of this kind of inexplicable jealousy, right?" Di Mingju looked up at her expressionlessly and sneered. "Who said I was jealous?" Yes, my lord, you are not jealous at all." Mu Yan quickly gave him a way out. "It's just that I am hungry and want to eat. So, my dear fiancé, can I eat your love meal?" Gentleness flashed in Di Mingju's cold eyes. Just when Mu Yan thought that she had finally escaped a calamity and could eat heartily, Di Mingju waves his hand, and the delicacies on the table instantly disappear without a trace. Mu Yan was dumbfounded. What are you doing? Di Mingju stands up, then bends down, leaning very close to her. Only then does the corner of his lip slightly curve up. Ben Jun has changed his mind. What? This monarch is jealous. Di Mingju enunciates each word, almost gnashing his teeth as he says, Ben Jun drank a bellyful of vinegar because I came back this time. So, Yen Yen, your love meal is gone. Under Mayan's thunderstruck glare. Jun Shangdaran also very naughtily stretches out a slender finger and shakes it, 1 month. After that, without waiting for Mayan to react, his figure turns into smoke and disappears without a trace. Bastard Di Mingju. Give me back my spirit food. In the next few days, Di Mingju frequently goes in and out of Mayan's room, without the slightest intention of avoiding her. This time, even if Yun Ruhan doesn't say it, the other people of the Xiaoyao sect can see that the relationship between the two isn't shallow. Regarding Jun Shangdaran's childish act of declaring sovereignty, Mayan doesn't know whether to laugh or cry. But what makes her most depressed is that Di Mingju really did what he said. He didn't prepare to cook for her for a month. Chapter 1368. Cloud-born Sea Binding is launched. However, the next moment, the alchemy furnace in front of her makes a creaking sound. Then, with a bang, it explodes into pieces. Mu Yan wipes the splashed herb juice on her face and says in disbelief, how could the furnace explode? My alchemy technique is clearly correct. Moreover, she just used the same technique to refine a furnace. Qi Huang comes over and sees her dusty appearance. He laughs gloatingly, idiot, that's because your alchemy furnace is too inferior. The spiritual power condensed and released in an instant is 100 times stronger than that of ordinary alchemy. How could this kind of broken alchemy furnace withstand it? Fortunately, this is only a 4th-grade elixir. If the level of the elixir was a little higher, wouldn't you be directly injured by the explosion? Saying that, he immediately tugs at Mu Yan's clothes excitedly. Let's go, this sage has long been displeased with this broken alchemy furnace. Let's hurry and buy a top-grade alchemy furnace. Tsang Cloud City is the most prosperous town in Tsang Blue World. And the Treasure Pill Pavilion, in Tsang Cloud City is the largest shop selling alchemy artifacts. As soon as Mu Yan enters the Treasure Pavilion and sees the prices of some furnaces, pestles and other items, she gasps. Most of these furnaces are priced in high-grade crystal stones. Mu Yan is about to leave the store, but suddenly feels as if her hands and feet are entangled by some kind of power. Then, she is forced to stretch out her hand and grab a purple gold alchemy furnace at the top of the shelf. This customer, please don't touch it. The shopkeeper rushes over, his face full of nervousness. This purple gold alchemy furnace is a 7th-grade alchemy furnace made by Signorine Xiu. You can't touch it at will before you decide to buy it. Do you want to buy it? Mu Yan glances at the original price on the shelf, the corners of her mouth twitching. Not buying, not buying. What a joke, that's tens of thousands of high-grade crystals. It's equivalent to tens of billions of low-grade crystal stones. How could she afford it? With her current net worth, she can barely afford to buy a 5th-grade alchemy furnace at the bottom of the shelf. The shopkeeper is flustered and exasperated. Since you don't want to buy it, why don't you put the purple gold alchemy furnace back? Mu Yan, she really wanted to let it go. But the damn Qi Huang had actually directly controlled her hands and feet, causing her to hold on to the purple gold elixir furnace tightly, unable to let go. Qi Huang, you're courting death. Mayan angrily curses in her heart. This furnace needs a whole 70,000 high-grade crystals. Even if I sell you, I still can't afford it. I don't care. Qi Huang coldly snorted. What kind of status does this sovereign have? Placing a mere 7th grade alchemy furnace in this space is already very degrading, yet you actually want to buy something even worse. Jun Mayan, I'm warning you, if you dare to put in a bad alchemy furnace again, this sage will throw them all out. The veins on Mu Yan's forehead bulge. That damned child Qi Huang, he was really capable of doing such a thing. Otherwise, Mu Yan wouldn't be so shabby every time even though she clearly had space. Sometimes, she couldn't even find a change of clothes. The shopkeeper saw that she couldn't afford to pay and still wanted to occupy the shop. His face darkened, and he hurriedly rushed forward to snatch the alchemy furnace back. Chapter 1369. Mu Yan, shopkeeper, I'm sorry, Before she could finish her words, a man dressed like a playboy suddenly came in. As soon as he entered the door, he shouted, Shopkeeper, take out the best alchemy furnace in your shop and give it to me. I'm going to the Purple Cloud Realm in a few days, and I'm going to present this alchemy furnace to the Flowing Moon Sex Yaodai Fairy. If it's not good enough, I'll destroy your shop. Mu Yan frowned slightly and turned to look. Flowing Moon Sect, she seemed to have heard of it somewhere. The shopkeeper greeted him with a smile and took back the golden-purple alchemy furnace that he had intended to put back on the shelf. This is the best alchemy furnace in our shop, a golden-purple alchemy furnace personally made by Master In Xiu. The playboy glanced at the furnace and nodded with satisfaction. It looks okay, barely worthy of the identity of the Yaodai Fairy. How many crystals does this furnace cost? As he spoke, he was about to take out the crystals from his bosom. Thank you, 78,000 high-grade crystals. The shopkeeper's smile became more and more brilliant. However, the playboy's movement stopped. His face stiffened, and he immediately shouted, 78,000, and its top-grade crystal stones. Are you kidding me? How can a mere alchemy furnace be so expensive? Why don't you rob a bank? The smile on the shopkeeper's face instantly changed from brilliant to contemptuous and sarcastic. You can't afford it, yet you say you want to take the best alchemy furnace in the shop. You don't have money, so what? As he spoke, he carefully put the alchemy furnace back on the shelf. The playboy was anxious. Wait a minute, I'll buy this furnace, but I need 7 days to go back and get the crystals. Give me this cauldron first. 7 days later, my manservant will bring you the crystal stones. I'm the young master of the D family in Green Flame City. I won't refuse your crystals, right? At first, the shopkeeper was full of disdain and wanted to refuse directly. But when he heard the D family in Green Flame City and saw the playboy take out a jade card, he couldn't help but hesitate. Mu Yan suddenly stepped forward and said, Since I can reserve it, shopkeeper, I plan to buy it in 6 days. How about I leave this golden-purple alchemy furnace with you first? As she spoke, she lowered her eyelids slightly, hiding the cold glint in her eyes. Just now, she finally recalled where she had heard of the Flow Moon sect. Back in the Yanwu continent, those small fries who chased after him were from the Flowing Moon sect. It was precisely them and those several aloof so-called fairies who caused him to narrowly escape death, Chang Yu to lose his life in the Yellow Springs, and Xiaobao's whereabouts unknown. Originally, she was not sure whether that group of people came from the Cultivation Continent or the Cultivation Continent. Now, it seemed that she had at least found a target for revenge. Stinking brat, who do you think you are? How dare you snatch something from this young master? The dandy pointed at Mu Yan and cursed. Mu Yan didn't even look him in the eye, unhurriedly saying, Buying things is about first come, first served. I saw this furnace first. If you want to talk about snatching things, it's you who's fighting with me. This young master has already made a reservation. Heh, where are the crystals? Mu Yan looked at him mockingly, with empty words. You want to take away an alchemy furnace worth 70,000 high-grade crystals. What D family's young master? You're the D family's young master, so what does that have to do with you going back on your word? Do you think the shopkeeper is a fool? The shopkeeper. Chapter 1370. The shopkeeper grabs the alchemy furnace and steadily puts it on the shelf. All right, no one can take away this alchemy furnace without crystal stones. If you really want to buy it, then wait until you have enough crystal stones before coming back. Mayan sneers, turns around and walks away. Stinking brat, wait a minute. The foppish man stops in front of her and glares at her with gritted teeth. Tell me your name. I'd like to see who dares to snatch my eldest young master's things. Mayan looks down at the men's clothes she's wearing and lightly replies, Yi Liangqin. Good, just you wait. Wait until this young master finds out 18 generations of your ancestors, I'll definitely let you. Mayan doesn't pay attention to this good-for-nothing foppish man. She gets on the flying boat and leaves. Ha ha ha, June Mayan, didn't you say that you wouldn't buy that alchemy furnace even if you were beaten to death? Now you boast that you'll buy it in 6 days. This sage wants to see how you can gather 78,000 high-grade crystal stones in 6 days. Hearing Qi Huang's gloating ridicule, Mayan's face collapses. Just now, when she heard about the Flowing Moon sect, she was so angry that she forgot everything. But in just 6 days, how could she earn nearly 80,000 high-grade crystal stones? The next day, there's a public lesson on the 5 elements spiritual power. Mayan was originally most interested in this kind of basic course, but today, when she went with Yun Ruhan and the others to the school of the Emperor Star, she was somewhat dispirited. Yesterday, she counted all her belongings. Including the miscellaneous earnings and all the income from the Tianguang ruins, she only has a few thousand crystal stones in total. Compared to 80,000 high-grade crystal stones, it's like heaven and earth. Even if her talisman drawing skill has become more and more powerful after mastering the identical compatibility contract, if she sells the newly developed talismans, she will definitely be able to sell them for a high price. But the problem is that she only has 6 days. Even if the talismans sell well, it's impossible to earn 80,000 high-grade crystal stones in a short period of time. Today's lesson on the 5 elements spiritual power, she is somewhat absent-minded. After the lesson, Mayan and the others are about to leave. But they're stopped by several female cultivators who hurriedly come forward. The leader of the group was a girl in blue with a cold and elegant appearance. She was dressed luxuriously. You are from the Alcade branch? Yes, what business do you have with me? Yun Ruhan replied politely. The blue-clothed girl's eyes flashed with a hint of shyness. We want to know, when is your branch's instructor scheduled for this year's open class? Public class. Yeah. Apart from the most basic ones, the other public classes in Starry School are conducted by the tutors of the various branches in turns. Now that the teachers of the Mizar institution had already given their public lecture, it was time for the Alcade institution to give their public lecture. We want to know, will the next public lecture be Teacher Mo or Young Master Yun Xiao? When will it be arranged? If Young Master Yun Xiao could teach me, I would be so happy that I would faint. I like Teacher Mo more. His aura is simply too strong. Just looking at his perfect face makes me want to crawl at his feet and lick him. The corner of Mu Yan's mouth twitches. Young Master and Di Mingju, these two evildoers. There would really be a bunch of diehard fans wherever he went. Chapter 1371. Mu Yan is about to open her mouth and say, I don't know either. But she hears the blue-clothed woman suddenly take out a bag of crystal stones and pour it on the table. This is just the deposit. If you can tell me the specific time and let me receive Yun Shao Gongzi's guidance, I will pay you 10 times more. If you can help me occupy the position closest to young Master Yun Shao, I'll double the spar I'll give you. Mu Yan looks at the spar on the table and sucks in a mouthful of cold air. They're all high-grade crystal stones. And there's no less than 100 pieces. 10 times more than 100 pieces, wouldn't that be thousands of high-grade crystal stones? And then double it again. Mu Yan only feels dizzy for a moment. She's worked hard to sell talismans in Tianguang ruins for so long, and only earned this little bit of crystal stones. Just who is this blue-clothed girl? Casually throwing away 1,000 pieces of gold just to attend youngest martial uncle's class. The blue-clothed woman's action seems to have opened some kind of valve. The other female cultivators also begin to follow suit, one by one, throwing the Qiankuan bag filled with crystal stones on the table. Although these people are not as extravagant as the blue-clothed girl, each and every one of them also spends crystal stones like flowing water. More than 100 high-grade crystal stones as a deposit. The least of them have at least a few high-grade crystal stones as a deposit. I want to listen to Instructor Mo's class. If Instructor Mo is the one giving the class, you will occupy the first 3 rows for me, and I will pay you 30 times the deposit. Me. I want to listen to both Instructor Mo and Yun Shao Gongzi's class. I don't need to occupy a seat, as long as I can see the 2 instructors' heavenly faces, it's fine. Stop dreaming. How could Instructor Mo and Yun Shao Gongzi have a class together? Even a lot of male cultivators have gathered around, each of them throwing crystal stones more nimbly than the female cultivators. There's even a man with an unruly expression among them, who throws more crystal stones than the blue-clothed girl. The man's voice is somewhat hoarse, and his speech is very concise. Deposit, 30 times the full amount, after the class, 100 times. The table is instantly piled with Qiankuan bags filled with crystal stones. These people are so crazy. It's mainly because the instructor's public class time can be announced or not. Especially for those well-known instructors, even the branch's students often can't sit in the hall for their classes. There was no need to announce it everywhere. No one doubted how popular Teacher Mo and young Master Yun Zhao's public lecture would be. Now that the public class was about to start, there was no announcement. It was obvious that everyone had no way of knowing the time in advance. If it weren't for Mu Yan and the others from the Yaoguang branch to inform them, it was very likely that they wouldn't have gotten the news even after the class ended. Or if they received the news too late, they wouldn't be able to get a seat and would be kicked out of the classroom. Yun Ruhan hesitated. But we really don't know. Before he could finish, Leng Yuma covered his mouth and dragged him to the back. Luo Yu nodded and smiled. The people from the Xiaoyao sect looked at the table full of crystals, their eyes shining with greed. So many Jingshi, so many Jingshi. Slurp. I can't take it anymore, I'm drooling. Even Mu Yan stares blankly. Just now, she was still worried about how to raise 80,000 crystal stones. But she didn't expect that Di Mingju and youngest martial uncle would be able to earn so much just by giving a lesson. Mu Yan's heart is twisting with jealousy. Chapter 1372. Luo Yu rubs her hands, looks at the table full of deposits, then looks at the surrounding fanatical students. Are you sure, just for the start of the class and to reserve seats, you're willing to pay so many crystals? Sure, definitely and definitely. As long as it's for my young Master Yun Shao, what's a mere crystal? If I can let young Master Yun Shao hold my hand, I'm willing to pay with my life. From the moment I saw Instructor Mo, I felt that he was exactly the same as the legendary Di Zun. If I can get Di Zun's guidance, my strength will definitely advance by leaps and bounds. Spending these crystals is worth it. Luo Yu smiles until her 2 dimples are faintly discernible. She happily notes down everyone's name and needs. And Mu Yan also knows that the male cultivator who pays the most is called Suingbua, from Migra's branch, and the blue-clothed girl is called Qin Onlu, from Heavenly Jade branch. Ha ha ha, I didn't expect that just by selling the class time, we'd actually earn so much. Luo Yu grabs a Qinkuan bag, simply blooming with joy. The Qinkuan bag goes around in everyone's hands. Everyone takes out the crystals inside, touches them, and rubs them. In the end, it's Mu Yan's turn. She smiles as she finishes touching, and is about to return it to Luo Yu. But Luo Yu directly pushes it back. Sixth senior sister, these crystals are all for you. The rest of the payment will also be given to you. Mu Yan stares blankly. Why are you giving them all to me? Junior sister, don't you want to buy an alchemy furnace? I heard that it'll cost tens of thousands of high-grade crystals. With these, you can buy the alchemy furnace that you like. Mu Yan frowns. I'll think of a way to buy the alchemy furnace myself. These crystals are for everyone. Junior sister, don't be so polite with us. Ling Yuma puts her hand on her shoulder, grinning as she says, we all know how good junior sister is at alchemy. If you really want to thank us, in the future when we need elixirs for cultivation and fights, you can take them all. Ling Yuxing rolls his eyes. Fourth senior sister, do you know how much a 5th grade elixir and above is worth? Letting junior sister take all your elixirs, aren't you taking advantage of her? TSK, so what if I like to take advantage of junior sister? Little junior sister, just tell me, are you going to cover my future medicinal pills or not? Mu Yan grips the heavy Qinkuan bag in her hand, feeling an indescribable warmth in her heart. She was silent for a long time before she said resolutely and decisively, all right, I'll be responsible for all of your medicinal pills and talismans in the future. I've earned it. Long live 6th senior sister. After laughing for a while, they couldn't help but sigh. Think about how poor we used to be in the Xiaoyao sect. Look at little martial uncle and mentor Renamo. They've earned more than our sect can earn in a lifetime with just a single lesson. Sob sob sob, the heavens are unfair. Even Chu Moli was a bit surprised. If we find some of the personal accessories of the 2 instructors and sell them in the future, one public lecture could earn so many spar. If he were to sell personal accessories and Xiao Xiang, he couldn't help but drool again. However, it was immediately extinguished by a slap. Third senior brother, can you not indulge in fantasy and tell horror stories? Stealing little martial uncle and mentor Renmo's personal accessories, do you not want to live anymore? Chapter 1373. As soon as he said that, the joy they felt just now turned into fear. I don't think so. We only sold the time for a public class at most. Chu Moli knocked on the armrest with his fingers and said slowly, how are you so sure that one of the 2 tutors will give a public class? The remaining 6 people were petrified. No way. Little junior sister, whether or not we can survive this time depends on you. Junior sister, do your best. You must get at least one of them to agree. Ahem, don't worry. Junior uncle and tutor Mo love junior sister so much, they will definitely agree. Mu Yan walked into Luo Yunxiao's room with her senior and junior brothers' expectant gazes. Why did she always have a feeling that she was like a bleak wind and cold water? She did not look for Di Mingju first because the Lord was very busy. Even though he was a tutor in Starry School, he was not seen most of the time. He would only stay by Mu Yan's side at night. Mu Yan always felt that it was more unreliable to get the mysterious, arrogant and cold Di Mingju to agree to a public class than to get the little uncle to agree. As soon as she entered Luo Yunxiao's room, she heard intermittent music. Although it was not as demonic as before, but, did the little uncle not practice for a long time? His skills seemed to be rusty. The whole music was like the wailing of ghosts and the howling of wolves. The only thing to be glad about was that the little uncle's practice was soundproof, which allowed the creatures in Yaoguang branch to live in peace. The song ended. Mu Yan immediately applauded with all her might. She even praised against her will, junior uncle's skills are really improving rapidly. Luo Yunxiao raised his handsome eyebrows and looked at her expressionlessly. What do you want? Ahem, ahem ahem ahem. Mu Yan coughed continuously. Little uncle, I have something to ask you. What is it? Mu Yan said, I heard that the Starry School has a rule that the tutors of each school must hold at least one public class every year. Now it's our Alcade branch's turn. I wonder if it's you or Instructor Mo who's going to teach. When will it be? Public class. Luo Yunxiao frowned and said indifferently, I won't participate. Mu Yan's heart thumped, she suddenly had a bad premonition. Qi Wen, who was at the side, shouted, Mei Yan Yan, what kind of person is master? It's already a great honor to be able to oversee the Starry School. Haven't you heard that more and more people have decided to apply for the Starry School? It has already far surpassed the Phoenix Sky Academy. This is all thanks to Master. After all, Di Mingju's reputation was only spread within the Starry School. However, the fact that Sir Yun Xiao had come to the Starry School was known by the entire cultivation continent. The young Xiuzha that hadn't registered for the academy were almost going crazy with excitement. All of them rubbed their palms together eagerly, waiting for the Starry School to recruit students next year. Feng Tian and the Spirit and Martial Arts School were furious, but there was nothing they could do. It was their fault for not being able to recruit the most handsome man and the best swordsman on the continent, Sir Yun Xiao, as a tutor. Chapter 1374. How can Master attend that public class? Mu Yan struggled. But Starry School has rules. TSK, can Starry School's rules restrict Master? Even that teacher Mo definitely wouldn't be attending public classes. Mei Yan Yan, I know you like quiet. Don't worry, no one will disturb you. Mu Yan was speechless. I'm really scared of silence now. I really want someone to disturb me. Mu Yan put up a last-ditch struggle and said with a flattering smile, Little uncle, look at how handsome you are. You're a genius. Everyone in the Starry School looks up to you as their idol. Everyone is looking forward to attending your public class and listening to your teachings. Luo Yunxiao was not moved by her flattery at all. He poured himself a cup of tea and took a sip before saying slowly, oh, and then. Mu Yan was speechless. Then of course, little uncle, you don't want to disappoint so many people, right? If you have time, do you want to start a public class? Luo Yunxiao put down the cup in his hand and looked at her with a faint smile. How many crystals did you get? Mu Yan's back stiffened. She laughed dryly. Little uncle, what are you talking about? Qi Wen was stunned for a moment before she screamed, Oh, Mei Yan Yan, you actually sold out Master and Teacher Mo. How much did you sell them for? I can only say, you did a great job. Master, you won't leave Mei Yan Yan in the lurch, right? Luo Yunxiao stood up and asked slowly, is Mo Ju going too? Mu Yan's mouth twitched. She really wanted to know this too. Then, she watched as Luo Yunxiao did not wait for her to answer and directly turned to enter the bedroom. Little uncle, wait a minute. Do you agree or not? How about I give you half of the crystals? The door closed with a bang. At the same time, Luo Yunxiao's deep and magnetic voice sounded with a hint of laughter. Whether I agree or not, you will know in 3 days. Mu Yan just came out of Luo Yunxiao's room and was surrounded by the Xiaoyao school. Little sister, how is it? Did young Marshall uncle agree? Yes, sixth senior sister, did youngest Marshall uncle say when the class will start? Mayan has a conflicted expression as she repeats junior Marshall uncle's words. We'll know in 3 days. Does young Marshall uncle agree or not? Luo Yu wailed, then how are we going to answer those senior brothers and sisters? Chu Moli said thoughtfully, why do I feel like little Marshall uncle's intention is to see if instructor Mo agrees or not? If teacher Mo agrees, maybe little Marshall uncle will go. Chu Moli finished speaking. Everyone's line of sight simultaneously turns towards Mayan. Mu Yen, why are you all looking at me? Cough, junior sister, I'll leave teacher Mo to you. Senior sister believes that you won't have any problems. Ling Yuma slaps Mu Yan's shoulder, even if it's a seduction, you must get teacher Mo to agree. Seduction. Mayan is speechless as she looks at the sky. I didn't expect you two to be this kind of fellow apprentices. In the Xiaoyao sect, only Yun Ruhan knows that Mayan and Di Mingju are engaged. But when the others saw the intimacy between the two, they could guess it. Chapter 1375. Luo Yu grabs Mayan's sleeve, her face eager. Sixth senior sister, think about the large amount of crystals, think about your alchemy furnace, our future elixirs. You must persuade instructor Mo to hold a public lecture in 3 days. Chu Moli's eyes were burning. It would be even better if the 2 instructors agreed to sell accessories. Mu Yan wanted to cry but had no tears. She really didn't have the confidence to make Jun Shang agree to attend the public class. Di Mingju was arrogant and proud. How could he lower himself to attend the public class for the stupid mortals he called? After youngest uncle came to Starry School, he had at least given them a lesson. But Jun Shang was only here in name. He didn't even give them a lesson. Ling Yuma grabbed her hand and said with an unwavering face, Junior sister, senior sister believes that you can do it. The people from the other branches are still waiting for our reply. I will send a message to them now. There will be a public class in 3 days. You must win instructor Mo's heart even if you have to use all your skills tonight. No, wait a minute, fourth sister. Ling Yuma and Luo Yu ran away quickly. Well, now she had no choice but to do it. Mu Yan presses her temples, only to feel that her head hurts even more. At night, Mu Yan sat on the edge of the table, fiddling with a top-grade crystal and worrying. Jun Mu Yan, if you really want the crystal, I will take Su Zi's body and snatch it for you. Mu Yan waved her hand impatiently, go away, I don't believe I can't even handle Di Mingju. As soon as Mu Yan finished speaking, she felt the candlelight in the room swaying slightly. Then she heard a low male voice close to her, Yen Yen, how do you want to handle me? Mu Yan jumped up from the chair in fright. Di Mingju caught her in his arms and carried her back to the chair. This time, his warm lips directly pressed against her delicate earlobe. His warm and moist breath landed on her sensitive skin. Yen Yen, how do you want to handle me? Mu Yan's body shivered sensitively. The bright red spread from her ears to her whole body, making her gasp for breath. But very quickly, she regained her senses. Slightly pushing away the man imprisoning her, Mayan composes herself, Di Mingju, in 3 days, it will be the Yaoguang branch's instructor's turn to give a public lecture. Is that so? Di Mingju says indifferently, what does that have to do with Ben Jun? Mu Yan blinks, her eyes are bright, aren't you a tutor of the Yaoguang branch? You've been here for so long, yet you haven't attended a single class. Shouldn't you fulfill your duties as a teacher? Di Mingju caresses her face. His tone is calm and indifferent, but his words carry a meaningful ambiguity. Yen Yen, do you want to learn? I can teach you alone every day, every night. He bites hard every single day and night. At the same time, his fingers lightly graze Mayan's delicate earlobe. Mu Yan inwardly cursed the rogue. On the surface, he immediately rejected with a righteous expression. I don't want to teach alone. I came to the starry school to enjoy the atmosphere of the school. Of course, I have to listen to the class with others. Moreover, you're a teacher of the starry school, yet you don't even attend a single class. How can you explain that? Chapter 1376. Mu Yan is about to cry. Then she pleads softly for a while, but Di Mingju refuses. Mayan's eyes turn, and she sighs. All right, since Jun Shangdaran isn't willing to attend public classes, then I can only go and ask Junior Marshal Uncle. TSK, Junior Marshal Uncle is the most handsome man in our cultivation continent. He is the dream lover that everyone in the academy yearns to get close to and look up to. If youngest uncle is willing to attend public classes, then the Alcade branch will definitely be overcrowded. At that time, I'm afraid I won't even be able to get a seat. With that, she stood up from Di Jun's embrace. But just as he stood up, he was grabbed by the waist and pulled back. The man is almost gnashing his teeth sound in the ear. You mean, that pretty boy is more attractive than Ben Jun? Mu Yan's words were clearly saying that if Luo Yunxiao went to class, it would inevitably be overcrowded. Therefore, she settled for the next best thing and came to him. He, the extreme domain sovereign emperor, actually lost to Luo Yunxiao. What most handsome man on the continent? Pooey. That's because I left the Shuzhen continent for too long. In the space, Qi Huang is also jumping up and down and cursing, ba ba ba. What number one handsome man in the continent, Jun Mayan, where do you put this soon? This supreme one is the most handsome. Mu Yan resisted the urge to burst out laughing. At this moment, she feels that Di Mingju is simply as arrogant and childish as Qi Huang. Isn't that the truth? Mayan innocently looks at Di Mingju, beaming as she says, youngest martial uncle's title as the most handsome man in the continent has been around for a long time, and it's publicly acknowledged by everyone in the world. He's more charming than you, isn't that normal? But don't worry, right? I love you the most. Mayan Jia's last words not only didn't make Di Mingju feel relieved. On the contrary, it made him even angrier. He's more charming than you. What a joke. In Yanyan's mind, that pretty boy is actually more charming than her. This was intolerable. Furious to the extreme, Di Mingju instead smiles faintly, more charming than Ben Jun. Let's give it a try. Mu Yan's eyes suddenly lit up. So, you agree to take the public class? Di Mingju casts a sidelong glance at her. You will know the answer in 3 days. Ben Jun will let you see with your own eyes who is the most charming person. Mu Yan, damn. Why was it 3 days later again? Are you guys messing with me on purpose? Should I agree or not? Can you give me a definite answer? Qi Huang, oh, I'm the most charming, all of you get out of my way. Have you heard? The teachers of the Alcade branch will start their classes in 3 days. Ah, really? Really? Was it young Master Yun Xiao or Teacher Mo? No matter which one it is, I want to go, even if I have to die. Alas, but I heard that many people have already spent crystal stones to ask the people of the Alcade branch to help reserve seats. The newly built, Rosy Clouds Garden, of the Alcade branch can at most hold 100 people. I'm afraid that even if we rush there, we won't be able to enter. I heard that Yaoguang branch's people made a lot of money this time, at least tens of thousands of high-grade crystals. It seems that Jun Mayan brought back dozens of Qinkuan bags. TSK, they are so lucky. Not only can they see the 2 divine teachers, they can also earn crystal stones so easily. Chapter 1377. I'm going to Yaoguang branch to ask if there are any vacancies. In order to see the two mentors up close, I'm willing to pay any amount of crystal stones. I'm going to. This might be the only chance in this lifetime to get so close to Yun Shao Gongzi. Even if I have to go bankrupt, I'm willing. Listening to the discussion of the few people in the square in front of her, Lu Ruoxuan suddenly clenches the book in her hands, her complexion extremely unsightly. The jealousy that has been accumulating in the bottom of her heart is like a poisonous weed that has received nourishment, growing wildly. Jun Mayan, Yaoguang branch again, why are they the ones who get all the good things? Why is it that when she goes to Yaoguang branch, the one who receives everyone's attention isn't her, but Jun Mayan? Lu Ruoxuan's eyes are almost filled with tears. She always had a premonition that her original life should have been smooth sailing, surrounded by pursuers. She used to be so kind, so pure, so crystal clear, but now she can only scheme step by step to live in peace. And all of this is thanks to Jun Mayan. Ruoxuan, why are you still here? A middle-aged man's voice comes from behind. Lu Ruoxuan quickly restrains the emotions on her face, turns around, and shows a well-behaved smile. Instructor Huang, I still have some questions about talisman drawing that I want to ask you. Good. A man with a big belly and an oily face comes forward, his face full of smiles. In this academy, you're the only one who is willing to study talisman drawing with all his heart. However, your talent is really good. In time, your achievements will definitely surpass mine. As he says that, he puts his slippery hand on Lu Ruoxuan's. Deep disgust flashes through Lu Ruoxuan's eyes, but she bears it. Pretending to be innocent, she raises her head and sincerely looks at the middle-aged man. That's all thanks to Instructor Huang's guidance. To be able to receive Instructor Huang's praise, Ruoxuan feels full of energy. The middle-aged man surnamed Huang smiles even more cheerfully. Although he is an instructor, his status in the academy is extremely low. Moreover, talismans are very unpopular, and the one surnamed Huang himself can only draw 4th-grade talismans at most. Therefore, even the public classes are only attended by poor students who can't grab a seat in the outer sect. Now that he was being complimented by Lu Ruoxuan, who was an inner disciple and had a pure appearance, he felt like he was about to ascend to the heavens. Lu Ruoxuan said a few more flattering words that made Instructor Huang dizzy. Then, he pretended to ask casually, I heard that the two mentors of the Alcade branch are about to start a class. I wonder if it will be young Master Yun Shao or Mentor Mo who will be giving the public class this time. As she spoke, she sighed softly and revealed a very sad expression. Ruoxuan really hopes to get your guidance, but I heard that many people have already signed up for your public classes. Ruoxuan probably wouldn't have a chance this time. But I really want to listen to the teachings of the two mentors. In fact, Lu Ruoxuan did not have much hope that the surnamed Huang would be able to get her a place to attend the lecture. Even if there was only a sliver of hope, she still had to fight for it. This was her chance to rise to the top. Who knew that when Tutor Huang heard her words, he revealed an astonished expression. Who told you that Sir Yun Shao and Tutor Mo are going to have a public lecture? Chapter 1378. Do you know the identities of those two mentors? Instructor Huang raises a greasy and chubby finger and points to the sky, mysteriously saying, their identities are so high that you can't even imagine it. How could those two come to give a public lesson to a group of little kids? Are you daydreaming? Lu Ruoxuan suddenly freezes in place. Instructor Huang touches her face, and wretchedly turns around and walks away. This time, Lu Ruoxuan doesn't even care about being taken advantage of. She stands there in a daze for a long time, her eyes getting brighter and brighter. Soon, she can't help but let out a loud ha-ha laugh. From time to time, it attracts strange looks from the people around her. After a long time, she stops laughing and slowly lowers her eyes. Her face is full of malice and carefreeness. June Mayan, Xiaoyao School, this time you're dead. 3 days pass in a flash. Early in the morning of the third day, there's still more than an hour before the class starts. The Yaoguang branch is already packed with people. Especially outside Shixiayuan, where the class is about to start, there are even more people, rubbing shoulders. Everyone has an excited and expectant expression on their faces. They stare at the closed door of Shixiayuan, wishing they could directly burn it with their eyes. The school's classes are automatically opened and closed at a certain time. There's still an hour before the start of the class, and the door of Shixiayuan emits a silver light, then slowly opens to both sides. The people waiting outside the door cheered and rushed in. Although these people enter in a mess, they find their seats very quickly. Because almost everyone has the help of the Yaoguang branch's people to reserve a seat. As for those who don't have a seat, they can only stand at the door and watch with envy. Because even if they go in, once the class starts, the array in Shixiayuan will directly expel them. And the moment of being expelled is still very painful. Every student in Shixiayuan raises their heads in anticipation, anxiously waiting. But the 7 people of the Yaoguang branch sitting at the very front are unusually restless. Cough, little sister, do you think that young martial uncle and instructor Mo will come? At least one of them should come, right? Luoyu looks back and sees that everyone's eyes are glowing green, and she immediately shivers. If little martial uncle and instructor Mo don't come, will we die miserably? At this moment, Mu Yan is calm and collected. She spread her hands and said, in any case, I've already tried my best. If it really doesn't work, I'll return the crystal stones. What if they're still not satisfied and start a fight? Mu Yan clenches her fists and reveals a bright and beautiful smile. Of course, whoever has the bigger fist has the right to speak. Everyone, damn it, recently junior sister has been too obedient, virtuous. So much so that they had forgotten the title of little junior sister, she-devil. Mayan's attitude seems to affect the others. The people of the Xiaoyao sect also relaxed. At this moment, a woman's panting voice came from outside the door. Senior brother Su, senior brother Su. Don't wait any longer, you've all been deceived by June Mayan and the others. There is no such thing as a public class. The 2 instructors of the Alcade branch never said that they were going to start a class. Hearing the familiar voice, Mu Yan raises her eyebrows and turns to look. TSK, sure enough, it was Lu Ruoxuan again. Chapter 1379. Everyone was also attracted by Lu Ruoxuan's words and turned to look. No public class. What does that mean? Didn't they say that Mr. Yun Xiao and Mr. Mo would have a class today? The one Lu Ruoxuan called senior brother Su was Su Yingbua, who had taught them the most crystals. He stood up immediately. Speak clearly. Lu Ruoxuan pressed her heaving chest, looking worried that they had been cheated. She said hurriedly, I just got the news that Starry School has never arranged for the 2 tutors to have a public class. Everything today is a scam. June Mayan and the others from Yaoguang branch made up lies to cheat you of your crystals. Wow! As soon as he said that, the entire Dawn Perch court exploded. Are you kidding me? Was it a lie? I've already given them dozens of crystals. I've been waiting for today without eating or sleeping, and you're telling me it's fake. June Mayan, do you think the 2 tutors will come today? Su Yingbua's face was livid, and his body was already emitting murderous intent. Lu Ruoxuan continued, think about it. Who are the 2 tutors? Since they came to Starry School, have any of you seen them give a single class? Also, they are very secretive. Has the school ever punished them according to the rules of normal tutors? How can important figures like them open a public class so easily? You've all been cheated by June Mayan. Chi Nanlu, who had paid the second most crystals, suddenly turned around and glared at Mayan. June Mayan, what else do you have to say? This is too much. How dare you lie to us? If this is true, we will not let you off easily. When Lu Ruoxuan came in, Mayan knew that things were going to get worse. However, she was mentally prepared a long time ago, so she was unusually composed and unhurried in this matter. Is it the time now? No, not yet. The girl's voice was unhurried, soft and pleasant. Coupled with her peerless beauty and shimmering peach blossom eyes, she unknowingly suppressed most of the people's anger. Mayan chuckled. Since it's not yet, why are you in such a hurry? Won't we know in a while whether the two teachers will come to class or not? As she spoke, her gaze fell on Lu Ruoxuan and her lips curled into a mocking smile. If I remember correctly, on Teacher Mo's first day of employment, this Miss Lu pretended to fall and wanted to jump into his arms, right? What? That day, you failed to throw yourself at me in Tai Square, and now you want to use this as an excuse to get a seat. There was a moment of silence in Shixia Garden, and then someone burst into laughter. Obviously, many people recalled the scene when Lu Ruoxuan deliberately threw herself into his arms. That scene, not to mention the male cultivators, at least the female cultivators were extremely disgusted. What they hated the most was this kind of woman who pretended to be pure, but went around seducing men, and liked to use despicable means to frame others. Lu Ruoxuan's face turned pale when she noticed everyone looking at her with disdain. Chapter 1380. Mu Yan lightly knocked on the table, and said with a smile that was not a smile, the academy really didn't say that the two instructors have the obligation to hold public classes, but did the two instructors say that they would never hold public classes? Lu Ruoxuan choked. Since the two instructors didn't say that there wouldn't be a public lecture, and it's not even noon yet, what right do you have to say that I'm lying? But you clearly don't have a seat, yet you still refuse to leave. I wonder what your intentions are. Lu Ruoxuan gritted her teeth. Then, tears fell down her cheeks. She turned to look at Su Yingbua, the male cultivators beside him, and the senior brothers of the Alioth branch. Choking with sobs, he said, "Senior brother, please believe me. I really didn't lie. After I heard about this matter from my tutor, I immediately ran over to inform you guys because I was afraid that you guys had been deceived. That June Mayan has accepted so many jingsher from you, what if she doesn't plan to return it? You have not experienced it, but I have. I have experienced it. The people of the Xiaoyao sect are very tyrannical, even the people of the Silver Feather Palace were so miserable because of them. If they want to swallow your crystal stones, what can you do?" Seeing Lu Ruoxuan's pitiful cry, the few male cultivators immediately felt moved. A few people even came out to help her wipe her tears. "Jean, don't cry. We all believe you. You are so pure and kind, why would you lie to us?" Saying that, they look at Mayan hesitantly. What if the two mentors don't come when it's time? Mu Yan then naturally returned the deposit. "What else do you want to do? What kind of joke is this? Do you think you can just let it go after fooling us like this?" With that, one of the male cultivators drew his sword and was about to attack Mu Yan. However, without waiting for him to move, Qin Jiao had already taken a step forward and grabbed the hilt of his sword. Spiritual energy surged, and there was a creaking sound that made one's teeth ache. The man's sword immediately distorted and turned into powder. Qin Jiao retracts her hand, unscathed, and silently walks back behind Mayan. Then he added, Don't bully little junior sister. Everyone in Shixia Garden was stunned. Mu Yan met the male cultivator's eyes and sneered, "Fool. Did I say that day that the two instructors would definitely start the class? The deposit stayed with me for 3 days and I didn't take a single piece. How can I fool you? If you think you've been fooled, you can take back the crystals you've reserved now. But if you want to seek justice, no problem, let's fight with our fists." Qin Jiu clenched his fists at the right time, making creaking sounds. The faces of the male cultivators beside Lu Ruoxuan alternated between green and white, but they didn't dare to say anything. Mu Yan looks around and says unhurriedly, "I'll ask again, who wants to take back the Jingshi? Take it now and leave Xia Yuan." The few male cultivators looked at each other in dismay. But if they really wanted to take back the crystals they had reserved, they would be a little hesitant. It's only because it's almost too hard to come by this time, and Mayan's attitude is too strong. They couldn't tell if she was lying or not. What if they took the crystal and the two instructors came to class? Then their hard-earned opportunity would be gone. Lu Ruoxuan's heart was filled with hatred. Jun Mayan, this cunning woman, is actually so eloquent. She reversed the situation with just a few words. But it's too early for this woman to be complacent now. Chapter 1381. Just then, there was a sudden clamor outside the door, followed by an old man's low shout. "Get out of the way. The Academy Supervisory Committee is carrying out official duties, everyone get out of the way." The crowd unconsciously separated into two. They saw an old man with eagle eyes leading a group of Academy Supervisory Committee members striding in. Luo Yu approached Mu Yan and curled her lips. "It's actually an old acquaintance." "Ha! Luo Yu, the last time Wei Tianming came to Yaoguang branch, he brought a group of Jindan stage deacons, and he was one of them." Mu Yan saw that Jindan stage deacon vaguely exchange a look with Lu Ruoxuan, and she couldn't help but slightly narrow her eyes. It seems that they didn't come with good intentions. That Jindan stage deacon went straight to Mu Yan, and coldly said, "Jun Mu Yan, Leng Yuma, Lan Luoyu, you are suspected of using mentors to deceive your fellow students. This action has already violated the rules of the school. Now, please come with us." Leng Yuma's face darkened, and she was about to explode, but was pressed back by Mu Yan. Mu Yan looked at that Jindan stage deacon, and unhurriedly said, "Excuse me, how did I deceive my fellow students? How did I violate the school rules?" The Jindan stage deacon coldly snorted, "The school has already stipulated that the two mentors don't need to hold public classes. You misled your fellow students, took the opportunity to accept crystals, and obtained ill-gotten gains. Isn't this a violation of the school rules?" Saying that, his cold gaze swept over the people around him. "Did the people of Yaoguang branch obtain ill-gotten gains from your hands?" "Yes, yes, yes." Several people standing next to Lu Ruoxuan immediately took out a yellow piece of paper, reporting to the deacon, "This is the proof that Jun Mu Yan and the others left behind after receiving the crystals as a deposit. We were very eager to listen to the two mentors' classes, so we didn't hesitate to pay a huge sum of money. I didn't expect that this was a lie." The Jindan stage deacon took the paper and opened it, and his face revealed a sinister smile. "Jun Mu Yan, what else do you have to say?" Mu Yan curled her hair with her fingers, and her expression was indescribably languid and careless. "What else can I say? They gave us crystals, and we provided information to help occupy seats. This is a transaction of the transaction, why should we explain it? If you want an explanation just like that, then why don't you ask the people from the other academies who helped to occupy or sell their spots? If you want to punish them, shouldn't you punish them first?" The Golden Core deacon was stunned for a moment before he angrily said, "How can this be the same? How are they different?" Mayan sneers, "These are all private transactions, things that have been agreed upon by convention. How can people from other branches do it, but my Yaoguang branch can't? Does this deacon think that there's no one in the Alcade branch? The Golden Core deacon's face trembled with anger, but he didn't know how to refute. Lu Ruoxuan immediately steps forward and says, Jun Mayan, don't twist words and force logic. Although the senior brothers and sisters from the other branches also sold information, the public lectures were real. However, the two instructors of the Alcade branch didn't know how to give public lessons. Shouldn't you be punished for swindling your fellow disciples' spar stones? Mayan coldly glances at her, didn't I tell you? If you want to get your deposit back, please go ahead. I want to get the crystal back. I also want to get the crystal back. What two mentors are teaching, it's clearly a lie. That's right, if it wasn't a lie, why would the people from the student council come over? Chapter 1382. Mayan isn't annoyed in the slightest. She directly takes out her Qinkuan bag and returns the crystal stones to them one by one. But before she returned the crystal stones, she smiled and said casually, let's be frank. If the person who gets the deposit today wants to ask the Alcade branch for help in the future, the price won't be 10 times or even 100 times more. The person who came to collect the deposit hesitated for a moment. But when she looks at the supervisor standing on the side, she is immediately convinced that Mayan and the others are swindlers. Lu Ruoxuan looked at the motionless Su Yingbue and said in a sweet voice, Senior brother Su, why are you still in a daze? You paid the most spar, don't be cheated by this group of people. Su Yingbue frowned, but slowly sat back in his seat. I don't care about those crystals. What he was more concerned about was whether he could listen to Teacher Mo's lecture. Even if there was only a sliver of chance. The blue-clothed Xin Onlu also sat firmly in her seat after some hesitation. In order to be able to see young Master Yun Shao from a close distance, she didn't mind throwing away 1,000 crystals, so what did a mere few hundred crystals count as? Very soon, 1/3 of the people in Shixia Garden were gone. Mu Yan looks at the people still sitting in their seats, and the corner of her mouth can't help but twitch. What kind of magic do these two evildoers, Di Mingju and young martial uncle, have? Even if there was only a sliver of hope, these people were still willing to pay crystal stones to see them. TSK. Third senior brother was right. If they could sell some accessories for the two of them, wouldn't they be rich? Mayan repeatedly shakes her head, shaking away the dangerous thoughts in her mind. The Golden Core deacon sneered, don't think that this matter is over just because you returned the crystal stones. You deceived your fellow disciples, this matter will definitely not be left at that. Come with us to the Education Commission. Mu Yan raises her eyebrows and is about to speak. Lu Ruoxuan suddenly shouted, it's time. It was already the time. The two mentors haven't arrived yet. This proves that Jun Mayan is lying. She's using the two mentors to deceive everyone. This time, the entire Shixia Garden, including those who did not get their deposits back, exploded. Jun Mayan, speak clearly. Will the two instructors come to class? So it really was a lie. Damn it, return my crystal stone. How dare you use young Master Yun Shao? Alcade branch, just you wait, I won't let you off. A whip suddenly appeared in the gold core deacon's hand. He waved it fiercely and shouted, men, tie up all the people from the Alcade branch and bring them back to the Dean's Council for questioning. The member of the academic council standing behind the golden core deacon responded and immediately stepped forward. Lu Ruoxuan revealed a complacent smile. But at this moment, a gentle but powerful force suddenly swept through the entire Perching Dawn Garden. In an instant, it was as if a violent gale had swept through, sweeping away all the violence. It also caused everyone's clamor and voices to disappear without a trace. Then, a low, gentle, and magnetic voice came from outside Dawn Perch Court. "What's with all the noise so early in the morning?" Everyone turned to look at the door, and their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. They saw a man in plain clothes, holding a book in his hand, slowly walking in from outside. Chapter 1383. Just looking at it would cause one to be intoxicated and intoxicated. Many of the female cultivators in Dawn Perch Court covered their mouths to prevent themselves from screaming. His face was flushed, and his eyes were glazed over. He looked like he was about to faint. Young Master Yun Shao. God, it really is young Master Yun Shao. They actually saw a living young Master Yun Shao at such a close distance. This day was worth it no matter what. When the people of the Xiaoyao sect saw Luo Yun Shao, they almost cried tears of joy. Sob, 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 youngest martial uncle really doted on them. In the nick of time, little martial uncle still rushed over to save them. Little master. Instructor Luo, they said that 6th senior sister lied to her fellow disciples. They said that you weren't going to hold a public class at all. They even wanted to take 6th senior sister away to punish her. Mentor Luo, quickly help 6th senior sister clear her name. Luo Yu immediately complained loudly when she saw little martial uncle. Luo Yunxiao's gaze swept over Mayan and fell on the gold core deacon. The man's gaze was calm, and his features were as clear as a painting. But being stared at by such a pair of eyes, beads of sweat began to appear on the golden core deacon's forehead. Luo Yunxiao said slowly, "You want to take my student away?" The golden core deacon grits his teeth and tries his best to maintain his composure, replying to young Master Yun Shao, Our dean received a report saying that June Mayan is swindling people. Taking her away this time is only a routine investigation." Luo Yunxiao's lips curled into a sneer. But when he did it, his expression was still as gentle as beautiful jade, making people unconsciously intoxicated. "I'm the one who agreed to attend the public lecture today. How am I cheating?" As soon as he said that, the entire Dawn Perch Court exploded. Those who had made reservations for Luo Yunxiao were so excited that they almost fainted. But people like Su Yingbua, who came for Di Mingju, show a regretful expression. Ling Yuma put her hands on her hips and laughed, "Did you hear that? Our little Instructor Luo is going to have a public lecture. Those who don't have a scheduled class, why don't you get out? Perching Dawn Court is about to be cleared." Cold sweat dripped down from the golden core deacon's forehead. He almost couldn't withstand it and wanted to retreat. And Lu Ruoxuan's face was completely ugly. She had never imagined that Luo Yunxiao would actually attend a public lecture. Impossible. How was this possible? With Luo Yunxiao's identity and status, how could she lower herself to attend a public lecture? June Mayan, this slut, why is her luck so good this time? Just as he was thinking, Lang Yuma suddenly stepped forward and sent Lu Ruoxuan flying with a slap. "Why are you staring at my junior sister so fiercely? You scared my little junior sister. Do you believe that I will dig your eyeballs out?" Luo Yu, on the other hand, waved her hand at the golden core deacon. "Why are you still standing here? Didn't you hear that we're about to start class?" Everyone thought that the people from the Academic Supervisory Board would retreat in embarrassment. However, he didn't expect that the Jindan stage manager would be sweating profusely. After hesitating for a while, he gritted his teeth and said, "Even if young Master Yun Shao agreed to attend the public class, the information that June Mayan sold also included Instructor Mo. With Instructor Mo's esteemed status, how could he possibly attend a public lecture? In the end, she has deceived others, and even used it to obtain ill-gotten gains. Today, I can let the others of Yaoguang branch go, but I must take June Mayan with me." Luo Yunxiao's eyes darkened, and a bone-chilling expression flashed across his usually warm face. Chapter 1384. No, but Mr. Yunxiao, please rest assured. We are only taking her away for investigation. We will not hurt Mayan. Mr. Yunxiao, you are famous and powerful. We cannot defeat you, but you are in the Starry School after all. If you don't follow the school rules, it will be too unreasonable. Don't you think so? Mayan squinted, her eyes shining brightly. The Golden Core Deacon's attitude was too strange. It was as if his original intention was to take her away, not to punish her for cheating. Luo Yunxiao curled his lips and laughed softly. I want to see who can take her away under my eyes. However, before he could finish his words, a voice suddenly rang out. The Golden Core Deacon's face suddenly turned pale and he spat out a mouthful of blood. A voice as cold as ice and as proud as the sun came from the entrance of Shisha Court. Who allowed you to take her away in my territory? Everyone turned to look at the door. Then, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. A man in purple robes appeared out of thin air. His face was between light and shadow, indistinct, but completely unable to conceal his chiseled and handsome facial features, as well as his graceful bearing that looked down on the world. His brows weren't as gentle as Luo Yunxiao's. They were picturesque and exquisite, but they were elegant and refined. The moment they saw him, everyone present could not help but feel an urge to kneel down and worship him. Su Yinghua and the rest stood up and stared at the newcomer, their eyes full of admiration and yearning. There were quite a few girls who were so excited that tears streamed down their cheeks. However, their mouths were wide open, but no sound came out. The entire Shisha court fell into a strange silence. Even the people from the Xiaoyao sect were shocked. They thought that someone as high and mighty as Mentor Mo would not come to public classes even for their junior sister. They did not expect him to actually come. He really came. Only Mayan curled her lips and revealed a faint smile. In fact, she had thought that youngest uncle might not come. But she had always believed that Di Mingju would come. This man had never left her alone when she was in trouble. No matter how shameless her requests were, this man would tolerate her, spoil her, and fulfill them for her. The Gold Core Deacon's eyes widened as he watched the noble man walking towards him. Finally, his knees buckled, and he knelt on the ground with a thud. Greetings, Instructor Mo. However, Di Mingju doesn't even spare him a glance. His line of sight turns and sweeps over Mayan, finally meeting Luo Yunxiao's line of sight in the air. There seemed to be lightning and thunder in the air. Di Mingju sneers. He fiercely brushes his sleeve, and turns to look at the Gold Core Deacon. The hand behind his back grasps Mayan's small hand and firmly squeezes it. Mu Yan felt a burst of pain, but because he couldn't cry out in public, his face couldn't help but twist. She can't help but fiercely scratch Di Mingju's palm. The Tsundra Jun Shangdaran seems to be pacified by this scratch. He clasps Mayan's hand in his palm, but their hands are covered by his wide sleeves. Chapter 1385. The Golden Core Deacon's entire body shivered. I wouldn't dare. He vaguely knew the identity of this teacher Mo. Even Principal Di Yudao did not dare to offend such a person. Lu Ruoxuan clenches her hands into fists, looking at Di Mingju's peerlessly handsome face, as well as the way he's protecting Mayan. The jealousy in her heart was like millions of ants gnawing at her heart. Finally, she couldn't help but take a step forward and raise her voice. Mentor Mo, you're protecting Mayan like this. But do you know that Jun Mayan is using you to deceive you? She's using you and Teacher Luo's banner to collect money outside. Di Mingju turns his head and coldly looks at Mayan, his expression very unfriendly. So be it if they were using his name. They even used Luo Yunxiao's name. Could it be that his reputation as the polar domain sovereign was not enough? Mu Yan laughs dryly with a guilty conscience. She has a nagging feeling that she will be settled later on, and then die miserably. When Lu Ruoxuan sees Di Mingju's expression, she thinks that he's angry. His eyes immediately flashed with a hint of joy. He stepped forward and said, "Instructor Mo, I believe that Jun Mayan and the others also have their own difficulties in doing this. But no matter how difficult it is, they can't do something that would ruin the reputation of the two instructors. Their behavior is so vile. If we don't punish them a little, what if they push their luck in the future?" Di Mingju's line of sight turns, and for the first time, it finally falls on Lu Ruoxuan's face. Lu Ruoxuan looked at the pair of bottomless ice blue eyes and the handsome facial features. She was so excited that her whole body was trembling. She tries her best to reveal a charming and shy smile, moving a little closer to Di Mingju. She opens her mouth innocently and eagerly, "Mentor Mo, I didn't mean to say bad things about Jun Mayan and the others, I just really don't want so many people to be deceived." The corners of Di Mingju's lips slowly curve up. His appearance was already extremely beautiful, and when he smiled, his eyebrows were even more dazzling. But what flashed through everyone's mind was not dejection or amazement. Instead, it was fear and trembling from the depths of his soul. Lu Ruoxuan's charming expression suddenly froze on her face. Beads of sweat rolled down her forehead. Her clothes were also soaked in the rain. At this moment, she heard the man's cold voice. "Who in this world has the right to punish Benjuan's woman? When Yanyan's name comes out of your mouth, Benjun feels disgusted." Lu Ruoxuan's eyes widened in shock. What did Teacher Mo mean by that? Jun Mayan, that slut, is Instructor Mo's woman. No. Impossible. She didn't believe it. However, before she could react, she felt a sharp pain on her face. She felt as if someone had slapped her in the face, causing her teeth to fall loose. Lu Ruoxuan didn't even have time to cover her face and scream before she was sent flying and fell heavily outside Shisha Court. At the same time, the Golden Corps Deacon and the members of the Student Council were also thrown out. As soon as the Golden Corps Deacon landed on the ground, he immediately spat out a mouthful of blood, and his whole body softly fell to the ground. He crawled up from the ground, inspected his body, and immediately let out a shrill scream. It turned out that at that moment, his golden core had actually shattered, and his cultivation had once again fallen to the immediate stage. Chapter 1386. Although the other members of the student council did not experience a drop in their cultivation, their faces were pale and they were on the verge of collapsing, unable to get up for a long while. With this kind of injury, it was impossible to recover without resting for 10 days to half a month. When the people in Xixia Yuan see this scene, they not only don't feel fear or sympathy, but instead look at Di Mingju with eyes full of worship and awe. Only those who had just gotten back their deposits were panicking and regretting their actions so much that their intestines turned green. Bracing themselves, they walk in front of Mayan and embarrassedly say, "Miss June, we were wrong just now. We actually believe that Lu Ruoxuan's nonsense. Please give us the certificate of attendance. We are willing to pay double the price." We really admire these two mentors and hope to listen to their teachings. As they say this, they can't help but glance at Di Mingju and Luo Yunxiao. They hoped that the two teachers would stand up for them. But who could have known that Di Mingju and Luo Yunxiao, one is cold and indifferent, the other is light and breezy, as if they simply don't care about anyone in the world. Unexpectedly, he gave Mu Yen full authority to take charge of his own affairs. Mu Yan looks at these people, and says unhurriedly, I've already said what I just said very clearly. From the moment you requested a refund of the deposit, you no longer have the right to remain in Qixia Garden. Class is about to begin, please leave as soon as possible. Jun Mayan, you, don't go too far. One of them said irritably, there are 2 instructors in the class, what does it have to do with you? You're just buying and selling information and reserving seats for us. How are you qualified to decide whether or not we can attend the 2 instructors' classes? As soon as the man's voice fell, 2 voices sounded almost at the same time. If I say she's qualified, then she's qualified. Everyone turns their heads, and discover that the ones speaking are unexpectedly Di Mingju and Luo Yunxiao. Everyone is immediately dumbfounded. In his mind, he's guessing Jun Mayan's identity, as well as her and the 2 instructors' identities. Those who returned the deposit still wanted to cause trouble, but Luo Yunxiao waved her hand. He channeled his spiritual power into the array around Qixia Garden. In an instant, those who were not qualified to attend the lecture were directly expelled from Qixia Garden. The rest of the people in the garden were all excited and rejoicing. From time to time, his gaze would drift towards Jun Mayan and the people from Yaoguang branch. In his heart, he thought that even if it was to see his idol more, he absolutely could not offend these people. He had to curry favor with all his might. However, very soon, Qixia Garden fell into an eerie silence again. Because everyone realized that there was still a big problem that hadn't been solved. There was only 1 classroom here, but there were 2 instructors. So, who was the one giving the public lecture today? After a moment of silence, the students below immediately started arguing. Some of them were die-hard fans of young Master Yun Xiao. Someone was determined to get Teacher Mo's guidance. In the beginning, because of the presence of Di Mingju and Luo Yunxiao, the 2 sides have restrained themselves, paying attention to their image. In the end, she had forgotten everything and only cared about protecting her idol. The 2 sides almost broke into a fight. Mu Yan is dumbfounded. She wants Di Mingju and Luo Yunxiao to mediate. Who would have thought that these 2 old men would be so calm and unperturbed, as if it had nothing to do with them? He turned a deaf ear to the chaos in front of him. Mu Yan presses the throbbing veins on her forehead and roars, "Stop arguing." Chapter 1387. Then, Qi Nanlu and Blue suddenly stood up and said loudly, Jun Mayan, why don't you make the decision? Should we let Mr. Yun Xiao attend this public class? Of course, it must be Mr. Yun Xiao. So many people in the world want to meet Mr. Yun Xiao but can't. You actually want to push him away. You're all idiots. Mr. Yun Xiao's fans shouted and waved their hands in support. Su Yinghua also stood up with a cold face. What a joke. Men should compete in strength. Teacher Mo is a true powerhouse, a legendary figure that I revere just like the monarch. Jun Mayan, don't you think so? I'm here for Tutor Mo. Whoever dares to let Tutor Mo leave, I won't let him off. Both parties stand up at the same time, looking at Mayan like a tiger watching its prey. Jun Mayan, speak. Who should attend this public class? Mayan. Are you all demons? What the hell did I do? Why did I get shot even though I was lying down? Almost at the same time, Di Mingju and Luo Yunxiao also looked over. Their expressions didn't change, but their eyes were burning. Di Mingju brushed away the flow of his accessories and said casually, I also want to hear your answer, Jun Mayan. Mayan shivered. She always felt that if she answered Uncle Master, she would not only die a horrible death when she returned. He would die without even leaving a corpse behind, all right. Mayan opened her mouth and wanted to answer. But Luo Yunxiao smiled warmly. Think carefully before you answer. Uncle Master's gentle appearance made him look like an elegant prince. But in reality, he rarely smiled. And every time he smiled, it meant that someone was going to be unlucky. Mayan swallowed the words that were about to come out of her mouth. She thought about the days when she was tortured by Uncle Master. Then she thought about what she said when she tricked Uncle Master to attend the public class. She swallowed with difficulty. Why must I choose one? Mayan suddenly had a bright idea. His words were immediately fluent, and the corners of his mouth curled up into a faint smile. Does the Starry School have a rule that each school can only hold one public class a day? The purple bamboo courtyard next to Chixia Garden is still empty. Why don't the two teachers each occupy a classroom? Those who want to listen to Teacher Mo's teachings can stay here, and those who want to follow Teacher Luo can follow her to the purple bamboo courtyard. What do you think? As soon as he said this, the entire Chixia Garden fell silent for a moment. This was followed by a burst of enthusiastic cheers. Good, very good. This was how it should be. This was how it should be. Why didn't I think of that just now? Oh, bastard, I don't want to miss either of the instructor's classes. June Mayan, you really keep your word. I think this bit of crystal is well worth it. Mayan turns her head and meets the meaningful and unkind eyes of the two evildoer mentors. She immediately feels her scalp go numb. Ahem, little Instructor Luo, this way please. Luo Yunxiao didn't make things difficult for her. She just looked at her deeply and turned to go to purple bamboo courtyard. Those die-hard followers of young Master Yunxiao immediately followed after him. The Chixia Garden had already lost a third of its students. Now that it was split into two, neither classroom was full. Chapter 1388. If we knew that the two mentors were willing to open a public class, we should have sold more places. Mayan grins, revealing a faint smile. It's not a pity. It's not too late for us to go out and auction the places now. As soon as these words come out, the people of the Xiaoyao sect are shocked. Little sister, are you serious? Auction it on the spot. Aren't you afraid that the two mentors will settle accounts with you later? Mayan, hee. This lady is now full of lice and doesn't itch, and I don't need to worry about debts. In any case, some narrow-minded man will settle accounts later, so it's better to fish enough now. She shows everyone a disdainful smile. How about it? Do you dare to do it with me? Do it. Why wouldn't I? Ling Yuma slaps her thigh and laughs. Ha ha ha, let's go to the auction now. I reckon that the group of people hanging their necks in Yaoguang branch will go crazy with joy when they hear this news. The people of the Xiaoyao sect go to the place where the crowd has gathered. They don't care if their conversation will be heard by the two mentors inside. Chu Moli looks at the direction of the little sister's departure, then looks at purple bamboo courtyard and Chixia Yuan. He can't help but smile and shake his head. Little junior sister is little junior sister. Think what people don't dare to think, do what people don't dare to do. Hee, interesting, really interesting. Mayan has never listened to Di Mingju's lecture. Moreover, she can't imagine what Jun Shangdaran will look like when he stands on the stage and gives a lecture. So, Mayan stays back in high spirits. Chixia Garden was quiet. Everyone's eyes sparkled as they stared unblinkingly at the man who was as handsome as a god on the stage. They're afraid that they'll suffer a loss if they don't look. Everyone is waiting for the man to use his low, sexy, and indifferent voice to talk about cultivation. However, the next moment, Di Mingju's action makes everyone stunned. They see him raise his hand. In an instant, a blue light spreads from his palm. The clear and crystalline light instantly turns into a whirlpool. Before everyone could react, it has completely enveloped the entire Chixia Yuan. The people in Xixia Yuan suddenly feel their hearts palpitate, and they're panicking. This blue light doesn't bring them pain, but it makes them feel like everything has been seen through. But the one who was the most shocked was none other than Mu Yan. Because the moment the blue light spread, she realized. This is a domain, Deming Ju's domain. However, this domain was completely different from hers. It seemed light and formless, illusory and blurry, yet it seemed so real that it could deeply engrave itself into one's soul, bones, and blood. Compared to her domain, Deming Ju's domain is indescribably powerful, so powerful that she simply can't see the end of it. Moreover, she had an illusion, such a strong, oppressive domain of her nerves. It's just the thin edge of Deming Ju's domain, it's just the tip of the iceberg. At this time, Deming Ju slowly opens his mouth. Hold your breath and focus your mind, revolve your spiritual power, and enter the great illusionary land to experience it. How much you can learn depends on your own abilities. The people in Xixia Yuan look at each other in dismay, completely unable to understand what Deming Ju is saying. But when a die-hard fan faced their idol, the biggest advantage was that they would trust him brainlessly and carry out his orders meticulously. Thus, the hundreds of people present all closed their eyes, slowly circulated their spiritual power, and emptied their minds. The next moment, they felt that their spiritual consciousness had entered a wonderful realm. Chapter 1389. There were also people who experienced a dreamlike life, an illusory yet real life. Some even saw themselves ascending to immortality, the grand scene of the great path being proven. Feeling the fluctuations of Deming Ju's domain, Xing Lang hurried over. Seeing this scene, he was so jealous that his entire body and soul were about to distort. Bastards, these stupid mortals, how could they enter Jun Shang's great illusionary land? Even the most basic great illusionary land was something that many immortals on the Shushan continent yearned for but could not get. He also wanted to enter Jun Shang's great illusionary land. Why were the Starry School's little brats treated better than him? Mu Yan also immersed her consciousness into the great illusionary land. The next moment, an impassioned zither sound resounded in her mind. Like a stormy sea, or a torrential rain of thunder. Golden spears and armored horses, swallowing mountains and rivers, the entire sea of consciousness seemed to be turned upside down. Faintly, from the direction of Purple Bamboo Courtyard, there was also a clear and cold energy surging in, intertwining with her consciousness. After a moment, a second zither song appeared in her mind. Like resentment or admiration, like weeping or complaining, like a dream or infatuation. Clearly as gentle as water, but mixed with soul-penetrating loneliness and desolation. Two zither sounds madly intertwined in her mind, one advancing and one retreating, one strong and one weak. Mu Yan only felt a roar in her mind, as if it was about to explode. Her forehead was also faintly beaded with sweat. In the depths of her sea of consciousness, there seemed to be a terrifying energy about to surge out. Mu Yan suddenly opened her eyes, escaping from the great illusionary land created by Deming Ju. Deming Ju's gaze had never left her from the beginning. Seeing her open her eyes now, he couldn't help but frown slightly. For those who immersed themselves in the great illusionary land, the longer they stayed inside, the higher their talent was. Naturally, the more benefits they could obtain. And Mu Yan was actually the first to wake up. Xing Lang gloated in the dark. Looks like this woman Mu Yan's talent in the domain is only a so-so. Deming Ju grabbed her hand and pulled her into his arms. His voice was cold, but with a trace of concern. What's wrong? Mu Yan frowned slightly, but for a moment, she couldn't tell what had happened in that instant. She was a little scared, but also a little regretful. What he was afraid of was that if that power had erupted, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Regrettably, she could feel the power and change that power could bring her. Unfortunately, it disappeared all of a sudden. No. Did the other force belong to youngest Martial Uncle? Could it be that junior Martial Uncle was also using the Great Illusionary Land to teach? If she went to youngest Martial Uncle's place to meditate now, would she be able to stimulate that power? Thinking of this, Mu Yen became restless. I'll go to the purple bamboo courtyard to take a look. Di Mingju narrows his eyes, a dangerous light spilling out from the bottom of his eyes. Jun Mayan, say that again. Mu Yan looked around and saw that everyone in Xixia Garden was immersed in the Great Illusionary Land. Not a single one of them had woken up. She immediately smiled and touched the man's tight and perfect abdominal muscles. She tiptoed and kissed the corner of his lips. Be good, don't mess around. I really have something to prove. Pausing, she used a slightly seductive and husky voice to say, I know that Jun Shang wants to settle accounts with me after the autumn. Then why don't we record this as well and settle it together tonight? Chapter 1390. He really wanted to punish this damned woman on the spot. Mu Yen chuckled and let go of him. She turned around and left Xixia Court. Before she left, she even smacked her lips. The Lord was really a perfect boyfriend, in every aspect. Oh, of course, it would be better if he didn't get jealous. 2 hours passed. Yaoguang branch was still full of people. Starry School's public classes didn't have a specific time. They only needed 2 hours, less than 6 hours. The specific time was decided by the tutors. 2 hours had just passed. Xixia Court and Purple Bamboo Court didn't even waste a second. The doors opened suddenly. But after the doors opened for a long time, students finally came out one after another. However, every one of them looked dazed and pale. They walked unsteadily, as if they would fall at any time. The cultivators who waited in Yaoguang branch but couldn't attend class heaved a long sigh of relief. They felt a vague pleasure in their hearts. See, so what if they went to the two tutors' class? It didn't seem to be a pleasant experience at all. Maybe the two tutors were just sitting there and didn't even say a word. Just like that, 2 hours passed. TSK, luckily they didn't go in to listen. Otherwise, they would have wasted their crystals. However, at this moment, the few students who had walked out first seemed to have just come to their senses, and with a loud shout, they seemed to have just woken up. Ah, why did I wake up so quickly? I feel like I was so close to understanding that trick. The others also recovered their expressions one after another. His originally pale and blurry face was now in high spirits, mixed with incomparable heartache. I'm a little better than you. I feel like my understanding of the sword intent has deepened. No, I'll go back and practice my family's inherited sword art. I feel like my sword art is about to make a breakthrough. My alchemy level has already broken through. Oh my god, I thought it would take at least another year. I didn't expect to advance to the 4th level alchemy master now. Isn't Suingbo the most amazing? My god, he actually advanced to the great perfection of Anidia, and from what he said, it seems like he has already stepped into the Golden Core realm. Hasn't Qin Onlu also reached the great circle of Anidia? Moreover, her heavenly dance of red sleeve seems to have broken through as well. The more the people of the Alcade branch heard, the more shocked they became. In the end, he couldn't believe what he had just heard. Finally, someone couldn't help but step forward and ask, "Did you learn something from this lesson? Gain something?" The person who was being held back laughed weirdly. Are you kidding me? You call this gaining something? I've been studying in the Starry School for 3 years, and what I've gained today is not as much as what I've gained today. The person who asked the question was stunned. No, that's impossible, right? It's just 2 hours. No matter how well the two instructors teach, how much can they learn? Only 2 hours have passed. It feels like years have passed. TSK, I feel like I've lived my whole life. These 2 hours are really comparable to the previous 20 years of my life. That person still didn't give up and asked, what did the two instructors teach? Was it a cultivation method? Was it an advanced secret technique? Or some kind of support matrix? Chapter 1391. You wouldn't understand even if I told you. The two instructors are godly people. The things they teach can only be understood and not explained in words. The students that come out of Xia Yuan and Purple Bamboo Courtyard become more and more excited as they talk, each one of their faces flushed with happiness, as if they've picked up a rare treasure. And the people waiting outside are both jealous and angry at the same time, itching to go back in time to 2 hours ago. Even if they go bankrupt, they still have to snatch a spot. Among this group of people, the most jealous, the most regretful, and the most angry, are definitely the group of people who rejected the deposit. After the two instructors' lesson at Arcade Branch has ended, Lu Ruoxuan hurriedly boarded the flying boat to escape. However, before she could fly to Alioth Branch, dozens of flying boats suddenly catch up to her, surrounding her. Someone even directly uses a flying boat to crash into Lu Ruoxuan's flying boat, almost causing her to fall from the sky. Lu Ruoxuan has no choice but to control the flying boat to descend, stopping at a mountain call not far from Alioth Branch's outer courtyard. She just staggers down from the flying boat, when she is ruthlessly slapped to the ground. Slut, what else do you have to say? If it wasn't for you, how could I not be able to attend Yun Xiao Gongzi's lessons in the future? Scoundrel, I finally got the chance to get close to Instructor Mo. If it wasn't for you, slut, sowing discord, making me misunderstand Mayan and the others, how could I end up like this? Lu Ruoxuan covers her face, looking at the people who are glaring at her like tigers watching their prey, tears streaming down her face, her heart filled with terror. There are female cultivators and male cultivators among these people. Those male cultivators were still tender and gentle towards her just today, but at this moment, each and every one of them are fiendish, as if they want to skin her alive. Junior Brotherly, who was competing with me, originally had a lower cultivation than me, but because he attended Instructor Mo's lesson, he actually overtook me in a short 2 hours. Originally, the one who obtained this spot was me, so the one who had a substantial increase in cultivation should also be me. That male cultivator's face distorts as he speaks up to here, suddenly taking a step forward and ruthlessly kicking Lu Ruoxuan's chest. It's all because of you. It's all because of you that I lost this chance to break through. You're a honey-mouthed jinx, I must have been blind to have trusted you. Lu Ruoxuan was in so much pain that she curled up like a shrimp and let out a painful cry. But the anger of these dozen or so Xiuzhe who couldn't attend class didn't feel comfortable at all. Lu Ruoxuan was so anxious that she could no longer care about shame. She tore off her clothes, revealing her red undergarment and snow-white shoulders. She cried like a pear blossom in the rain, sobbing and trembling. She was weak and beautiful like a little flower in the wind and rain, causing people to unconsciously want to take pity on her. Senior brother, I didn't. I really didn't mean to deceive you. It doesn't matter if others don't believe me. But please, you must believe me. Woo woo woo. She raised 3 fingers and swore to the heavens, Lu Ruoxuan, swear to the heavens that if I really have the intention to harm senior brothers, then let me be struck by lightning and die a horrible death. As soon as she said this, the male cultivators revealed expressions of bewilderment. Chapter 1392. She had yet to finish her sentence. Her collar was suddenly pulled up by someone, followed by a few slaps on her face. Believe. Ha, I'll let you know what it means to believe. Even now, you're still trying to frame Mayan. If not for you sowing discord and causing us to misunderstand Mayan, we wouldn't have lost the chance to listen to the lecture. Lu Ruoxuan's face swelled up like a pig's head from the slaps. What pitiful, pitiful, pear blossom in tears. The few male cultivators who originally wanted to protect her, upon seeing her ghastly appearance, couldn't help but take a few steps back in disgust. Tears and snot flowed down Lu Ruoxuan's face as she defended herself. It's true, June Mayan really hooked up with Mentor Mo. Mentor Mo told me personally that June Mayan is his woman. Slap 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 slap. Another few slaps landed on her face. You're about to die and you still want to frame Mayan. Don't you know that Starry School doesn't allow teacher-student relationships? Or do you think we'll let you go just because you dragged Mayan into this? Sob sob sob, no. No. Lu Ruoxuan's pig face was sobbing and shaking her head. Senior brothers, save me, please save me. The female cultivator who slapped her suddenly sneered. Ha, don't you like to pretend to be a white lotus? A white lotus grows out of the mud without being tainted. I wonder if junior sister Lu has this trait too. After saying that, she grabbed Lu Ruoxuan's hair. Ignoring her cries, she dragged her in one direction. The others hurriedly followed after him. Along the way, there were people who came up and kicked Lu Ruoxuan to vent their anger. As they moved forward, the air was filled with a pungent smell. It turned out that this was a cesspool. The people in the Starry School's outer yard were only in the body-refining realm and needed to eat grains that could not be completely converted into spiritual qi. Naturally, they had to excrete. And this cesspool was where the excrement was accumulated. Lu Ruoxuan saw the cesspool right in front of her and widened her eyes in horror. She opened her mouth and was about to shout, "No! No!" But before she could say anything, she was thrown down from the sky. Then, something disgusting, along with a foul stench, gushed into her mouth and nose. Ha ha ha, aren't you a white lotus? Let me see if you can get out of the cesspit without being stained. I've long found this woman an eyesore. Who is she trying to show off her coquettish appearance all day long? In Yuhing courtyard, she would hook up with every martial brother, not rejecting anyone, but when these men saw her, it was as if they had lost their souls. It's disgusting. The male cultivators from the Alioth branch all showed awkward expressions and took a few steps back. Lu Ruoxuan wanted to climb out of the cesspool, but someone picked up a bamboo pole and hit her hard again. Her mouth and nose were filled with stinky feces and urine, and the hatred in her heart was accumulating bit by bit. Her eyes were wide open as she stared at him. He clearly remembered the faces of these people in front of him. In the future, she would make them pay for the humiliation she had suffered today 1,000 times over. However, the one she hates the most is still June Mayan. If not for June Mayan, she would still be that doted upon little junior sister. She was a pure and kind white lotus whose hands were not stained with the slightest bit of filth and blood. Chapter 1393. The sky gradually darkened, and there was no one around the cesspool. Lu Ruoxuan climbed out of the cesspool with difficulty. She could no longer stand on her feet, nor could she circulate the spiritual power in her body. She could only crawl little by little towards the flying boat in the mountain ahead. I will not admit defeat. How can I, Lu Ruoxuan, fail so easily? When I become successful, I'll skin them alive, pull out their tendons, and drown them in this cesspool. There's also June Mayan, slut. Bitch. June Mayan. I won't let you off. The pain I've experienced today, I'll make you pay back 10-fold, 100-fold. I curse you all to die a horrible death, a horrible death. At this moment, a young man's voice came from the darkness. Ah, you scared me to death. So it's a human. Are you okay? Lu Ruoxuan stopped cursing and looked up, but she suddenly met a pair of eyes that were as clear as water. Under the moonlight, the person's face could not be seen clearly. However, he could vaguely tell that this was a young man with a clear mind. Especially his eyes, they were like pearls made of colored glass. It was so clean and clear that no one would suspect that this youth had any bad intentions. Lu Ruoxuan had just experienced the malice of a group of people. At this time, facing such a clean and pure youth, her guard had unknowingly dropped. She raised her head and looked at the youth with a pleading gaze. Her voice trembled as she said, "Save me, please save me." All of Lu Ruoxuan's storage items were taken away. She didn't have any pills, talismans, or clean clothes. Due to the excessive consumption of spiritual power, he could not condense it, so he could only rely on his willpower to crawl back bit by bit. Now that she had met this young man, if he was willing to give her a pill and a set of clean clothes, the young man revealed a worried expression. "Senior sister, what's wrong? Did someone harm you?" As he spoke, he took out a pill from his bosom and gave it to Lu Ruoxuan. "Take this spirit supplement pill first and recover your strength." Lu Ruomin hurriedly took the pill and swallowed it. His empty dantian quickly produced a rich spiritual power. Lu Ruoxuan was ecstatic and showed a grateful expression to the youth. But in the next moment, he felt a sharp pain in his dantian. Then, he felt a sweetness in his throat and spat out a mouthful of blood. You. Lu Ruoxuan pointed at the youth and screamed, "Why do you want to harm me?" Young man, Su Zi slowly rose to his feet, a clear smile still on his face. However, his eyes had become bottomless. "Although I don't know where you came from, I actually happened to hear you cursing Big Sister. How can I let you live? It wasn't easy for me to get this pill. It can make a person's spiritual power grow crazily until their dantian and meridians can no longer bear it and their whole body explodes. You piece of dog shit, enjoy yourself here." After that, the young man leisurely turned around and continued to walk in the direction of the Alcade branch with light steps. Lu Ruoxuan helplessly watched the youth's figure disappear. She wanted to call for help and beg for mercy, but there was no response. The hatred in his eyes turned into tears of blood. His blood-stained fingers dug deep into the soil. He didn't even notice that his fingernail had been flipped off and blood was flowing out of his hand when he grabbed onto a piece of skeleton. Chapter 1394. No, she's not reconciled. How can she reconcile with this? She should be in high spirits and be the center of attention. How can she die here like this? Do you want revenge? Just then, a faint, hoarse voice suddenly comes to Lu Ruoxuan's ears. The voice is neither male nor female, like a ghost. When it rings, it carries a bone-chilling chill that can calm people's bones. But it can ignite the deepest desire in the human body. Who, you? Are you a human or a ghost? Lu Ruoxuan endured the pain in her body and looked around. But she didn't see a single figure. But soon, she found that the bone in her hand is emitting a faint green light. The green light shines on the blood on her hand, looking particularly strange. You don't need to know whether I'm a human or a ghost. You just need to ask yourself, do you want to become stronger, do you want revenge? The voice is faint and hoarse, but it's extremely bewitching. Lu Ruoxuan presses the wound on her abdomen. Her face is completely distorted, and she almost roars, "Yes, I want to take revenge on those bastards and that bitch June Mayan. No matter what price I have to pay, as long as I can make them die a horrible death." That's right. As long as you sacrifice your soul to me and help me do things, I can help you achieve your wish. Lu Ruoxuan's eyes reveal a struggling look, but it is soon replaced by the desire for success and revenge. As long as I can take revenge, I'm willing to help you do anything. He, ha ha ha. I've waited for hundreds of years, and finally, ha ha ha, Evolution Moon Sect, Ziyun Realm. This is a secret room hidden underground, and a complicated array is set up in the center of the secret room. But it's not crystals that maintain the array, but the blood of spirit beasts that are riddled with holes. In the center of the array, a dark red bell hangs. But no matter how those spirit beasts struggle, the bell doesn't move, nor does it make the slightest sound. But suddenly, the red light on the array shines brightly, and the bell begins to shake violently, making a buzzing sound. The spirit beasts around the formation howled miserably and struggled with all their might. But not long after, their blood is sucked dry, and they die. The door of the secret room was smashed open with a bang, and several people hurriedly ran out. Seeing the violently shaking bells, they all revealed expressions of wild joy. Found it, the most important ingredient has finally been found. Ha ha ha, if we hand over all the spirit herbs we found earlier to Fairy Qingwan, our Flow Moon sect will definitely obtain great benefits. The white-bearded old man's eyes were filled with excitement. Even his voice was slightly trembling, looking at the direction of the bell. It should be in the azure blue world. Quick, immediately order the Flow Moon sect to search for it. Yes, sect leader. They quickly retreated, leaving only the white-bearded old man and the tall, thin middle-aged man. Master, what is this catalyst? It actually took us so much effort to find it. What kind of medicine does Fairy Qingwan want to refine? The white-bearded old man in the lead stroked his beard and narrowed his eyes. What Fairy Qingwan wants to refine is the magnificent quicksand, that even Tiani men have already lost its inheritance. Magnificent quicksand. What kind of pill is this? Chapter 1395. I only vaguely remember that Master once said that this is the Tiani sect's unique secret medicine. If it is really refined and taken, it can take away another person's appearance, talent, and even fate. It is a very terrible elixir. Take away fate. The tall and thin man gasps, is there really such a sinister medicine in the world? What is the guiding drug? The white-bearded old man glances at the bell. The guiding drug is a very small number of people who are favored by the heavens and have a special fate. And this guiding drug is the most indispensable thing to refine, magnificent quicksand. The tall and thin man frowns, since it is a person favored by the heavens. If we offend it, won't it? Pft. The white-bearded old man disdainfully laughs. What favored by the heavens? It's just a nice way of saying it. In fact, these people are just the descendants of the medicine men left behind from the ancient war. It is unclear whether it is a blessing or a curse to obtain a special fate. And if they encounter a true heavens favored one, they will only what? Nothing. The white-bearded old man takes back the words that he is about to blurt out and chuckles. In short, although this medicine man is rare and seems to have an excellent fate, there is nothing to be afraid of. The tall and thin man can't help but laugh. Master is right. What heavens favored one, won't he soon become a medicine man and we will refine him into an elixir to bless our Flowing Moon sect's ascension. This so-called special fate will benefit us at that time. The two look at each other and can't help but reveal an excited and expectant smile. They believe that as long as they respectfully offer the guiding drug and the elixir to Ling Qingwan, the Flowing Moon sect will certainly have a meteoric rise. And they can immediately ascend to the Shushin continent. Yaoguang branch. After the class, Mu Yan and the Xiaoyao sect's people gather together to count the crystal stones they have received. When the number is out, the 7 people are crazy with joy. There are 91,621 pieces of upper-grade crystal stones, upper-grade crystal stones. Ha 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 ha, we're rich again. Junior sister, how many crystal stones do you think your alchemy furnace will cost? Quickly put it away and buy it tomorrow. Later, all our elixirs will be taken care of by you. Mu Yen smiles and puts the 78,000 crystal stones into her space. She doesn't take any of the other crystals. Instead, he shared it with his fellow disciples. Yun Ruhan and the others were not pretentious. The few of them happily divided the crystals, each of them smiling so widely that their teeth could not be seen. Since we're so happy today, I think we should celebrate. That's right, we need to drink and roast meat to celebrate. Ha 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 ha, let's celebrate our riches. Long live junior sister. I've been in the carefree sect for so long, but this is the first time I've felt so rich. The sky was getting dark, and the people in the other courtyards had already fallen into silence because of the curfew. However, the public square of the Arcade branch was bustling with noise and laughter. Luo Yu jumped onto a fake mountain and shouted, "Next, everyone has to do something that they are not good at. 6th senior sister, embroider. 4th senior sister, draw." After reading the list of things that the people of the Xiaoyao sect were going to do, the audience burst into laughter again. Then, Luo Yu coughed lightly and continued, "It's not over yet. Little Ant Master, sing. Instructor Mo, let's dance." Chapter 1396. Youngest martial uncle singing. Could he perform all 5 tones? Di Mingju is dancing. Cough 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 cough, forgive her for her inability to imagine. Di Mingju has a dark expression on his face, his entire body is filled with an austere killing intent. He turns around, flicks his sleeves, and is about to leave. But Mayan pulls him back, hugging his waist and not letting go. She holds back her laughter and looks up. Di Mingju, today is our Yaoguang branch's celebration. You're also a member of Yaoguang branch, how can you not participate? Di Mingju sneers faintly, Ben Jun is not. He was the Polar Domain sovereign emperor, not a member of the Arcade branch. Nonsense. After saying that, Jun Shangdaran breaks into a run. However, he was pulled back by Mayan. Mayan's eyes are bright and her face is full of craftiness. Even if you're not a member of the Yaoguang branch, you're still my family. I am a student of the Arcade branch. Since you are my family, you are also a member of the Arcade branch. Or could it be that Jun Shangdaran wants to go back on his words and abandon me? Di Mingju, he gnashes his teeth, Jun Mayan, don't push your luck. Mu Yen smiles mischievously. She's still pushing her luck. Darling, don't be shy. Mu Yen smiled and shook his hand, isn't it just dancing? I believe that no matter what it is, it won't stump Lord Jun. Di Mingju faintly looks at her for a long time, and suddenly hooks up his lips, revealing a meaningful smile. Good, Ben Jun will participate. But Yen, don't regret it later. Regret? What did she regret? Although she thinks so, Mu Yen suddenly has a bad premonition. Could it be that she had shot herself in the foot? Soon, the people of the Xiaoyao sect all showed off the things they weren't good at. Mayan directly embroidered a bunch of mandarin ducks so that even a chicken couldn't be seen. Ling Yuma did not draw anything, but she made her body colorful. It was still Chu Moli who was the most ruthless. He roasted the meat with his bare hands, and directly roasted a dark dish that emitted a foul stench. Even Mu Yen, this cooking waste wood, can make better things than him. Finally, it was the 2 instructors' turn. However, they looked at each other in dismay, and no one dared to rush him. On the contrary, each and every one of them uniformly turned their gazes towards Mayan. Mayan coughs lightly and pushes Di Mingju, Mentor Mo, it's your turn. Di Mingju slowly gets up. Under the moonlight, her peerless face was even more stunning and dazzling. Step by step, he walked towards Mu Yan and extended his hand towards her. That pair of icy blue eyes stared unblinkingly at the girl in front of him. There was stubbornness, passion, and dominance in his eyes, but most of all, there was a bone-piercing gentleness. Mayan feels like she's almost drowning in those serene eyes. Her mind went blank for a moment, and then she unconsciously reached out to him. In the next moment, Mayan's entire body has already soared up into the sky, carried by Di Mingju as they dance in the air. Under the moonlight, a handsome man embraced a delicate girl. The two figures leaned against each other, hugged each other, and blended together. There was no music, but the two of them seemed to be following the beat. Sometimes they jumped, sometimes they spun, and sometimes they leaned back. The sparkling moonlight plated a layer of silver light on the two of them. It was so beautiful and so compatible. People couldn't help but feel envious and yearning. The people of the Xiaoyao sect were dumbfounded. They didn't expect that Mentor Mo's dance would be like this. Chapter 1397. At the end of the song, the two figures slowly descend from the sky. Mu Yan is still dizzy until the hair on her temples is gently pushed aside. The man's deep and husky voice sounds against her earlobe. Yen Yen, are you satisfied with Ben Jun's dance? Mu Yan suddenly comes back to herself, only to find that everyone in the Yaoguang branch is looking at her. Her face immediately turns red, and she wants to hold her forehead and sigh. She really lifted a rock to drop it on her own foot. Young martial uncle, it's your turn next. That's right, Instructor Mo is dancing, how can you not sing? Hee, we're all from the same school. Even if young martial uncle sings tone deaf, we won't laugh at you. Luo Yunxiao holds a wine glass in her left hand and a barbecue in her right hand. Other people's movements when eating meat are always bold and vulgar. But when he does it, it's elegant and noble, gentle like jade, like a banished immortal, handsome and otherworldly. Hearing the jeering, the young man slowly raises his long eyelashes, and his indifferent eyes sweep over the loudest people. In a split second, the noise comes to an abrupt end. Luo Yu and Leng Yuma shrunk their necks in embarrassment, not daring to make a sound. Just then, Chu Moli suddenly smiles and says, if young martial uncle is too embarrassed to sing alone, how about letting little junior sister accompany you? Yes, little junior sister's zither skills are superb. If little junior sister accompanies you, it can certainly cover up a little of young martial uncle's tone deaf. Mu Yan is dumbfounded. What did I do? Why am I the one who's lying down again? However, thinking that she can listen to young martial uncle sing, she can't help but reveal an evil smile. She stands up and dusts off the dust on her hands. Okay, I'll accompany young martial uncle. Saying that, without waiting for Luo Yunxiao to refuse, she sits on the ground, takes out the Tian Imo Chin and gently plays. The sound of the zither resounds, but Luo Yunxiao is still silent and indifferent. Just when everyone thinks that young martial uncle won't open his mouth no matter what, suddenly, a low and warm sound that can make one's ears pregnant resounds. It's not a song, just a soft humming. It's also like the murmur of an elf that humans can't understand. But this music is so vast and clear, as if it can directly hit the depths of people's souls. Even Mu Yan is dumbfounded. He raised his head and stared blankly at his junior martial uncle, who was as gentle and elegant as a banished immortal. They couldn't believe that this song came from his mouth. Wasn't this a joke? If he could sing such a beautiful song, how could he play the zither with such a magical sound? The sound of the zither gradually faded, and the singing also stopped as if it had sensed it. The square was silent for a moment, and then it exploded. Heavens, Instructor Mo, Martial Uncle, are you guys even human? Is there anything in this world that can stop you? In the past, I've never been convinced by anyone, but towards Teacher Mo and little Marshall Uncle, I truly admire them from the bottom of my heart. However, Chu Molly's eyelids drooped slightly. In a low voice that only he could hear, he said, "Isn't the one that should be admired the most junior sister?" Ling Yuxing raised his head and revealed a bashful smile. "The second wave of meat is done, and the wine is warmed. Aren't you coming to eat?" "They're coming. Xiaowu is still the most virtuous, I love you the most. Instructor Mo, junior uncle, come, drink some wine and eat some barbecue." You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.